Yeah. All right. Are we recording? We're recording now. Wait, no, we're not hitting. Yeah, we are recording. All right. Here we go. We're recording the screen share. Matilda and Skylar are with me, and we are going to talk about media law and ethics. Media law and ethics. What do I really need to know? And that's the question. Like, honestly, okay, I'm on yearbook staff, I'm on newspaper staff, I'm on broadcast staff, I'm on a media publication staff. Do I really have to memorize all these Supreme Court cases? Do I really need to know all of these laws? Well, probably, but really, let's talk about the things you need to know. There are big six that we're going to talk about, and Skylar and Matilda are with me. They are the editor-in-chiefs of the Amplifier, WLHSnow.com, so they're going to help me out talk this. They have some personal experience, I think, right? Skylar, Matilda, you got a little bit of personal experience on quite a few of these, I believe.
Yeah, but also it's editors-in-chief.
Oh my God, did you just AP style me live for all time? All right, editors-in-chief, thank you. See, this is why they're on helping with the lecture, not me, because they're way smarter than I am. All right, so here's the big six: censorship, libel, invasion of privacy, copyright, access to information, reporter's privilege. You need to know those six. So write those down. We're going to talk about each of them a little bit as we go, and we'll circle back to them at the end as well. But those are the six you should be familiar with. So let's start with censorship. Student Press Law Center. Matilda, you want to talk about Student Press Law Center?
Yeah, it's basically a resource for student media publications. You can contact them, and in theory they'll get back to you and offer you like support on any issues you might be going through with any of those like aforementioned big six in your own student publication.
Yeah, you should have this down because they are your advocates. SPLC.org. If you get into legal trouble, shoot them a message. They will help you. They will support you. They will. Come on. Skylar has a story that maybe she'll share, but we'll see. All right, so here on their website, they have a bunch of questions. They have a bunch of great resources on there, splc.org. And so the frequently asked questions are often addressed. And so we wanted to go through these. Do high school students have First Amendment rights? What do you think? Do they? Skylar, Matilda? Ooh. Yes? No? Yes! Yes! All right, what's the court case? I mean, if you need to know a court case, you need to know a court case. What's the court case you need to know? I'm quizzing them on the spot.
Sure. I am freezing out.
Oh no, Skylar's freezing. Well, Matilda knows this one.
Can you hear me?
Yes. The U.S. Supreme Court said in 1969, what case?
Tinker v. Des Moines.
Tinker v. Des Moines, there it is. It can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional right to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. That was the landmark case. Mary Beth Tinker and company went all the way up to the Supreme Court because they were suspended for wearing little black armbands at school. They were suspended. They were protesting the Vietnam War, and so they wore these little black armbands to school, and they got suspended. And so they took the school district to court and said, "Hey, you public school government are the government. You cannot limit my free speech." And so went all the way to the Supreme Court and ruled in favor of Tinker. And so yes, you don't surrender your First Amendment rights at the school door. Yeah, Mary Beth Tinker, like she's still around. Didn't you get to meet her, Tildy? Oh no, I just brought that up. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was there the next day.
Oh, the next day, Matilda. All right. Well, I won't rub it in, but I got to meet, she's my Beyonce. Mary Beth Tinker is like my Beyonce. I got a picture with her and I made her laugh too. I told a joke. It was great. I got a picture of her laughing. Yeah, but she still travels around, gives speeches. So Matilda, your time is coming. You two will meet her someday. So she's great.
Her.
What was that, Skylar?
Oh, I got to meet her too. And I like whenever it comes up in conversation, like who's the most famous person you've met or whatever, that's who I.
That's your answer. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then you educate people right there on the spot. This is why you need to know about Tinker. That's good. All right, but wait. Which high school students are you talking about? What about students at private schools? Ooh, this one's a little bit dicey. We kind of talked about this a little bit in our First Amendment conversations. The First Amendment only prohibits government officials from suppressing speech. So if you're at a private school, not necessarily, because again, private entity, freedom of speech is not a protection under private. You can't walk into a private place and just say whatever you want. They can remove you, right? Twitter, right? Twitter is not run by the government. It's not. It's a private entity. So freedom of speech does not apply there. Now, people hopefully would, have a problem if they were doing that. But now, a state constitution, though, a statute or a school policy could provide private school students with free speech protections. And so there are some states that do supersede that and offer some protections, but First Amendment is government officials, which public school is government entity. All right, who wants to take this one? Hazelwood. What about Hazelwood?
Yeah, not our favorite case.
Okay, what's wrong with Hazelwood, Skylar?
Hazelwood kind of takes back the freedoms that the Tinker case grants student journalists and says that so I'll just read this.
Yeah. Let's read the response. Go for it, Skylar.
So the Hazelwood District v. Colmier in 88 is where the Supreme Court gave public high school officials greater authority to censor some school-sponsored student publications. The ruling does not apply to publications that have been opened as public forums for student expression. It also requires school officials demonstrate a reasonable educational justification before they can censor anything. In addition, some states, including Oregon, have passed laws giving students much stronger free expression protection than Hazelwood.
So, essentially, Tinker still applies. You still have free speech, but Hazelwood kind of gives administrators a couple of provisions, such as, what are some of the provisions that Hazelwood allows them to censor?
If it incites violence in any way, or if it disrupts the learning environment,
or just incite school students to like break school policy, or laws.
Yeah. So that's what happened is Hazelwood School District censored, would not distribute a newspaper because it had things that they claimed were going to disrupt go against school policy, and the Supreme Court upheld it and gave them justification. So a lot of administrators will use this as a reasoning. And there are a couple of defenses against it. Some of the defenses against it, Skylar, Matilda, against Hazelwood. What happens when a school district tries to, or an administrator tries to censor something citing Hazelwood?
Well, they have to be able to like prove that it will incite students to like do whatever they're claiming it will, which is challenging.
And also there's this public forum of student expression. Public forum is very different from school-sponsored media, right? If a student has an institution that is established as a public forum, this is a place where students voice their opinions, right? Then it's declared as such. So There's that. Yeah, what is a public forum for student expression? What is a public forum for student expression? Matilda, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So basically it's when the whatever like media publication you're running is not technically like financially supported by or like ran by the school. It's not like a school organization. It's independently run by students for students, which is why Mr. Krake is our advisor and not our teacher. And he doesn't have the power to like write articles and publish them on the website. He doesn't oversee what's published. We do, because this isn't a publication that's run by school employees. It's run by the students. Therefore, teachers and staff members don't have the authority to like oversee what we publish. That's our right and responsibility.
And that's the point of a public student forum, is that, yeah, I give advice, but ultimately editorial content is decided by the student staff. And that's the distinction. This isn't the live roar where you have a, the content is controlled by the administration or by an adult or by the government, right? Which essentially is the same thing. This is a public student forum. So this is the voice of the students. Now that goes a couple ways. It means freedom, the responsibility, freedom of voice, that the messages that are conveyed here are not the messages of the school. These aren't the opinions of the school. These are the opinions of the editorial board, of the students. This is the voice of the students, which is why me as a government employee, as a teacher, I don't tell students what to write. The students write what they make the editorial content decisions. And so that's an important distinction because First Amendment, right? Freedom of speech. This is a place where students can communicate their voice. Now, with that comes responsibility, right? What kind of responsibility is that, Skylar, Matilda?
Well, you are legally responsible for everything you publish. As an editor, especially, your name's attached to the publication. So if you publish any misprints, anything libel, anything illegal, anything that incites violence or anything like that, it's not the school that's going to be getting in trouble. It's the student editors and the students. It's Tinker versus Des Moines.
It's Milner and Moore v. United States, right? Or whatever. And so that's a big responsibility. If you yell fire in a movie theater and publish it and cause a riot, Matilda and Skylar, the editors, are the ones responsible for publishing that. They are going to have to answer for that. And so that's a big weight for you as students to think that your words matter. The things that you say, your free speech, it matters for good and for evil, right? And so you need to be thoughtful of that and mindful of that. Okay, so if a policy or practice indicates the content of my publication is determined by the students, the Hazelwood decision does not apply to me. Because, hey, we're the Amplifier, we're WHS Now, students control editorial content. So does that mean that the school cannot censor you? Technically, that's correct. Technically, the school should not be able to censor you. Hey, if Skylar and Matilda want to publish something on the website, on their WHSnow.com, can the school forcibly come in and remove it?
Not without good legal backing.
Right? I mean, yeah, probably would take police or something. I don't know. But well, can't the school's IT just come in and take down the website? I mean, the school's hosting the website, aren't they? Skylar, isn't the school hosting WLHSnow.com? Can't they just pull the plug on the website?
We're paying for the website.
Aha. WLHSnow.com is WLHSnow.com. It's not .edu. right? It's not .or.us, right? Yeah, it's hosted by a separate. Students raise the money, students sell ads, right? So yeah, that's interesting thing. Now, if a student publication is a public forum for student expression, there are stronger First Amendment protections. Yeah, school officials are only allowed to censor when they can show the publication would cause material, substantial disruption of school activities. So now that means Skylar, Matilda et al. Would have to like take the school to court, right? Like, and that's a long legal process to defend that. So it's, you know, there's a lot of motions at play here. All right, now let's move to some of the other big sixes, and that was the big one. But let's kind of touch briefly through these. Can student publications be sued for libel, invasion of privacy, copyright infringement?
Yes, absolutely, 100% they can.
Woo! So Matilda, if you write an article and you grab an image from Google and throw it on your article as the image.
Yeah, lawsuit city.
Lawsuit city. That's right. Yeah, you want to talk about this, Matilda? What do we do about this? How do we, yeah.
Yeah, so basically all of the same like expectations that are held for like real newspapers are also held for us. We cannot,
because you are a real newspaper.
We are a real newspaper. Yeah. We cannot steal intellectual property and publish it as our own. It's really difficult to use someone else's intellectual property and like get proper rights to those resources. We can't publish anything that is untrue and could hurt somebody or their career or their family or their reputation even. Yeah, what we produce has real world implications, and we really need to be aware of that so that we can publish responsibly.
Especially, and we come out at this a lot, for our community, the West Linn community, for many people, WLHS Now is the only free community news, right? The Tidings now costs a subscription, right? Oregonian costs money. Like for many people, stuff that's going on, WLHSnow.com is the only one that's like available. So yeah, there's a lot of responsibility with that. You know, we do have fair use as an issue, but because we are WLHSnow.com, we have to abide by all of those copyright laws as well. Now, can student reporters protect confidential news sources or information? Can we quote someone as an anonymous source? Ugh. What's with the strong reactions there, Matilda and Skylar? I don't know if the video captures that. I saw some eye rolling here.
We can. Oregon has shield laws, so we are allowed to keep.
Okay. We are, yes, technically. Yes, we have shield laws.
This is high school newspaper.
Okay, so what do you mean by that, Matilda?
You lose a lot of credibility as a journalist by keeping your sources anonymous.
And it's very unlikely that you'll have a good reason.
Well, but what if I want to say something and I want to critique someone and I don't want to get in trouble?
That's not good enough.
Okay. What would be good enough? What would be a reason to have an anonymous source? Is there one?
Something where we need to.
Skylar's audio's cutting out. I think I know what Skylar's going to say here, because I've heard her defend this with a student who wanted to use an anonymous source. If you're protecting somebody's like safety, health and safety, like if there's like a threat of them losing their job because of them saying this, or a threat of them coming under physical harm, then yes, you can protect them from that. But if they're saying something that is just inconveniently true, they need to stand behind that. Otherwise, you're losing your credibility. Then anybody can say it. I mean, case in point, YouTube comment section, right? I mean, this is what happens when people say things anonymously. Ridiculousness ensues and trolling, and people can say whatever. You need to stand by it. That's where you establish credibility. All right. Anything to add there, Matilda?
The information somewhere else, then there's no good reason to use an anonymous source. Like an example would be, I think that you could like validly use an anonymous source if you were talking about maybe like students with undocumented families. That would be valid, because if you publish their names, they could be in like real, that could put their family in danger, and it would be really hard to get that information from somewhere else. But if it's just like a 16-year-old saying their opinion on the election, there's no good reason for them to be anonymous.
Which is why it's all the more powerful when you have somebody who's undocumented comes out and says it and says, here am I, this is my story, I am a human, look at me. That's what makes it all the more powerful than an anonymous source. So yes, but all of those things are significant, right? But yes, you do have shield laws. Can I use freedom of information? Freedom of information laws. You can. Good luck. It's hard. Have y'all tried a FOIA? We call it FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. These are called sunshine laws. Skylar, Matilda, have y'all submitted an official FOIA, or have we experienced that?
I think there was one time where I was going to, like for one of my articles where there was something, I don't even remember what it was, because I ended up dropping the story because it was something for print, and it was not going to be done in time.
This is part of the problem with FOIA, is there's some bureaucracy. If there is public information that a government agency like a public school has, right, then there are sunshine laws. That information is public record. And so Skylar, if she wants to know rates of tardies or attendance records, she can't, that stuff should be public record. And so she can submit a petition to request that information so that she can report on that information, right? They vary from state to state, but yes, there are laws that require that. The problem is there is a lot of legal bureaucracy and red tape that goes through. And a lot of times public agencies will make it difficult for you to get that information. And that's why they have these laws, so that you can push and get them. And so it takes effort to go and get that. And so I'm waiting for some of my students. I need some bulldog reporters who are going to go and just keep pushing and fighting to get that information out there. And there are some, defenses where they say, oh, there's, HIPAA, or we have privacy concerns, but there are public record documents that you are, as journalists, entitled to. All right. This is another one. Can I use cartoon characters, song lyrics, or another publication's photographs in my publications? Matilda already touched on this a little bit. Can you, Matilda?
Answer, no.
No. Do not even try to use Mickey Mouse. Disney will come at you. They will.
Disney will sue us. They would.
They will. Right. They will come after Matilda and Skylar, or you personally. Yeah. In most cases, you have to obtain permission. If you want to use something that's copyrighted, that's been produced by someone else, basic line is get permission. That gets tricky when you have things like that are controlled by multiple artists, right? To get permission. Sometimes the permission needs to be granted by a record label or, whatever. But each of those works are protected by copyright law. So you can only use them with permission. You can't just even publish a credit line. That's not permission. You can't say photo courtesy of Google or photo courtesy of Disney. I gave them credit. Well, that doesn't work, right? The only exception to this is called fair use. It's called fair use. And fair use is a tricky one because fair use only applies if you're taking a small amount of something or you're using the material with a news story, right? So if you are reporting on a movie, you can use the movie poster. That is fair use because you're commenting on that work. If you are writing a review about a song, you can play a portion of the song for the sake of the review. You can publish the album cover for the sake of the review because you're writing a review. Now, if you're just putting it as background music for background music's sake, you're not using it as fair. That's not fair use, right? You're using it for profit, for gain, to make your presentation better. So there needs to be, and also you can't spoil. You can't like replace. This is why YouTube gets into problems and why they flag if you use copyrighted material in your videos, because people can just rip that. If they can avoid paying for the product because they can just copy it, make a copy or download it from you, then you're infringing on copyright. And that's not fair use. So there we are. That's the big six. You should have this down in your notes. You should know this. Censorship, First Amendment, right? You have a freedom of speech. You don't, that doesn't get limited at the door to the school, right? Libel. Yes, you need to be aware of libel. If you print something that damages someone, legally you could be represented. However, the best defense is truth. If it's true, it is what it is, right? If it's true, you're reporting it. That's not libel. Libel is when you print something that is false about someone, that damages, right? If you publish misinformation and it damages someone, that is libel, right? So make sure you report truth. There it is. That's the defense against libel. Invasion of privacy. There is public disclosure of private or embarrassing facts, intrusion, false light, misappropriation. If you publish a photo and have a headline next to it that maybe puts them in false light, right, and maybe implies their guilt or innocence, yeah, those are some issues that you can't address. And there's tons of resources, information. If you think that maybe your piece might be intrusion, can I record this conversation secretly, right? There are things that you need to research. Go to splc.org, read up, research that stuff. We talked about copyright, got to have permission. There is a fair use exception, but it's, oftentimes misapplied. So when in doubt, create your own. Go out and take a picture of people lined up in front of the movie theater, right? Go get a picture of somebody with their earbuds in, listening to the album, right? Get creative with it, right? Access to information, freedom of information, open record, open meeting. The FERPA exemption is one administrators will use a lot. They'll say, I can't give you that information because, there's child privacy. Well, go to splc.org. Read up if you hit those walls. And then reporter's privilege. That's what it's called. Reporter's privilege is that you are a reporter. You don't have to reveal your sources. Shield laws there, confidentiality is there. It's probably not the best practice for credibility, but it's there for you if you need it. All right. Thank you, Matilda. Thank you, Skylar. Great insight. Appreciate y'all. I think there are some future editors in chief watching this, and they tip their caps to you. Appreciate your insight and the dirt you had to go through to learn some of these things. So thank you for that. All right, stop recording. Oh dear. All right. Why didn't it give me my little recording? I think I have to end the meeting to get the recording. I hope. Oh, dude, what if I, oh, no, I am recording. I see the stop button.